How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Z Garage. I'm Joshua as always, and this week we are getting all the rest of the mechanical stuff done for the Z to get it ready to start. It's not really too much, but it's going to just be a lot of really small nits and bits. I've already done a few of the things, so I apologize that I didn't get to film a lot of it, but like I said, it's just a lot of small stuff. It's not like a lot of progress work. So let's go ahead and just like jump right into it. It's gonna be a lot of like the oil cooler, making sure that's done. The fuel system, I'm pretty sure I've got it all together, but we'll go ahead and go over it. Just stuff like that. I need to keep just doing tiny little bits and pieces all over here. So let's go ahead and jump right into it and see what's going on. All right, guys, if you watched the last video, we ended up with me not having finished the fuel system. So I did this off camera, but it's all finished up now, so it's looking really good. So what we have is a line coming in. It's this guy here coming in from the fuel pump through a fuel filter, and then it goes up into this rail here, and then it jumps across the front, back around here. This goes around into our fuel pressure regulator right here, and then down out the bottom we go down into, you can't see it down there, there is a flex fuel sensor, and then a line all the way back to the tank. So that is the setup that we have. And I've heard that daisy chaining in series, the fuel lines like this is good. I want to say up to like 500 or 600 horsepower, which is more than what we're going to be looking for. So we shouldn't see any issues with flow having it like this. I did originally have, when I first did my turbo conversion, I did have it splitting and then coming back together. It's just a big pain, a lot of routing that you just don't really need for lower power levels. So that's why we have it like this. We do have the fuel pressure regulator. We need to go ahead and figure out vacuum lines as well, because we have, I think I counted 5 things that we need vacuum for, and we have 3 ports on the manifold. So we're gonna have to go ahead and get some T's, but it's looking really, really good. I did zip tie it together in a few places. I don't have a bracket for the flex fuel sensor. I would like to get one. It's just kind of zip tied in place on a brake line right now. So in the future, hopefully we can go ahead and get that on an actual bracket to mount it securely. But this is looking really, really good. So while I was in here, I also noticed, I don't know if you guys can actually see, this line right here has a crack right there. Yeah, you guys can see it on camera. So this is the power steering reservoir, and this is a common failure with that line right there. So I actually bought a new line, a silicone line from Z1 Motorsports for the Z32 power steering. So let me go ahead and unbox it and see if we can go ahead and see if it'll fit. All right, guys, so here is the new Z1 silicone line. You can see Z1 right there. Well, it's upside down. This is for the Z32 power steering reservoir. So if you can see, the original line goes down and then it comes out before it goes in. This new line, it does it a little bit, but not quite as much. So it's gonna have to bend, but I don't think that's gonna be an issue for us. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the old line off, trim this one up to length because it is longer than what we need, which is just perfect. And then we'll go ahead, get it on there, and it should be just a good fit. So I think that is going to fix this. I think this was like a $30 hose, so not too shabby. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this on, and then we'll see where we go from there. All right, guys, I don't know how easy it is to tell, but there is the new silicone line, and it looks really, really good. Fits really good. I cut about a ½ inch off the bottom and about 1 inch off the top, and it fits just perfectly, correct diameter and everything. So I'm really, really happy that that was a quick, easy fix, because I was not looking forward to finding a custom line for that. So glad that that's all good now. The next thing I want to go ahead and tackle, just because I think it's gonna be fun, is I want to mount my oil cooler over here. So it's right there. I'll go ahead and grab it in just a second. But the one that I got is about 1 foot long, and I'd kind of initially planned on putting it down here, but the charge pipe is kind of getting in the way. So I think what I'm gonna go ahead and do is actually kind of put it at a diagonal angle from this to this right here, make up some just small aluminum brackets that bolt through here. I'll probably put in a riv nut or something right there. So that is kind of what I want to tackle next. I don't have the tubing for the oil cooler yet, so we're just going to mount it for now, and then I'll go ahead and get those lines made when it comes in tomorrow. So hopefully that will be a quick, easy thing to do. I did check already. I got the fittings in, and the oil cooler lines over there, right there, they do end in a -8 AN. So if you are going to be using a stock Z31 oil cooler, you're looking for -8 AN fittings. So that's gonna be really cool. I'm excited for that. I'm gonna go ahead and get this mocked up and see how it looks. All right, guys, we got the oil cooler mounted. I did make some, pretty rudimentary brackets that just had some scrap aluminum laying around. So you can see that one doesn't look very pretty. We just have one bolt there and then one going through this front piece over here. It is on pretty well. You know, I mean, it obviously shimmies a little bit, but it's an oil cooler. It's not like it needs to be completely vibration free. Just looking at the way that these ports are, this one's probably gonna need to go up, around, down, and then over. This one could go just to the side and through this little spot right here. I just don't think we have the bend radius to get this guy through there as well. So that is gonna be something we're gonna look at once I get the hose in, just to see how tight it can actually bend. But for now, what I want to go ahead and do is put the bumper on, and I want to see exactly where this sits. Want to make sure that there's, you know, plenty of clearance, of course. This bottom corner, if you can see, it's getting a little close, but I think we'll be fine. So let's go ahead and get the bumper on and see what it looks like. All right, guys, as you can see, we got the bumper on, and I went ahead and shoved a light up in here, so hopefully you guys can see exactly where we're looking. We're actually doing really good. We're covering most of the, I know it's probably pretty hard to see, we're covering most of the oil cooler, and if I pull this out of here, you can kind of see where the top is going to be right there. So we're not going to be interfering with the turn signal, which is really good, because I was kind of concerned that we might be hitting there, so we're going to be good there. And then underneath here, you can see we are covering a huge amount through this duct. So we will actually get active cooling on this, not just kind of a passive, it's kind of in the air cooling, which I was scared it was going to be kind of, you know, tucked away too far, but I think that is actually 100% perfect. We're getting a very, very good amount of cooling through this duct. So I'm super happy with the position of this. I'm going to go ahead and tidy up some of this stuff. I'm going to put some riv nuts in some places here, find out some real good hardware instead of just this temporary hardware I was looking for. But yeah, I am super duper happy with this. In other news, I don't know if you guys, if I told you last time, I adjusted this intercooler so it's a little flatter, so you can kind of see the bottom is a little more flat. It does look like it needs to shift a little bit to the right because I can see more of the tank on that side than I can on that side. But you know, it is fully adjustable, so I am not too worried. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and then I guess I'll tell you guys what happens after that. Alright guys, well, it has been a few days. I got the AN lines in for the oil cooler. You can see we have it all hooked up now. I do have them crossing like this just because of the way that these 90 degrees sit and the bend radius on these hoses. They go back down around the intercooler pipe. One goes on top, one goes below. And then they go across the front of like the lip in here. I do have them zip tied just to keep them up. I would like to find a more permanent solution, but that is just how it is just for now. Then it runs through the side of this frame rail over here, and then see if we can get a good view. Let me get a light real quick. All right, I know it's a bit hard to see, but those two silver lines right there are the ones coming off the oil cooler, and then right underneath this power steering line, right there is where they connect to the AN lines. You can see I have one connected. The reason I don't have the other one connected yet is because it is so hard to get a wrench down in there to go ahead and tighten that one down. So I need to get a different wrench. So I'm going to leave that for just the moment. And then also a side note, this top line here, you might be able to see I have a wrench on it right here. I loosened the line and actually moved it upwards. It's really hard to get a view. Usually they're much closer to each other, but they are kind of a little bit separated. And that is because the other one is getting really close to this line right here for the power steering. So I'm just gonna move it out of the way. I'm gonna clock it a little bit so that it fits. It's gonna be snug down there, but it is going to fit. I've already tested them on just to, you know, get the lengths and everything. So I know it's gonna be fine, but this would have been so much easier to do before I put the power steering in. So if you are doing this, I do recommend putting this in before you reinstall all your power steering stuff. So that's looking really good. I'm making progress on the wiring harness currently tangentially to this, so that is looking good as well. I don't remember if I had already mentioned anything else that I needed to do on the mechanical side. And I also don't remember if I mentioned this or not. I went ahead and put a sheath on my throttle cable here because it is kind of going around some of the stuff, and it's like a braided stainless steel line. I don't want it rubbing through like the finish on, you know, my valve cover or anything, so I put some conduit sheathing around it. That's really cool. I'm going to go ahead and build a bracket off for this, so that will be here soon, so we can go ahead and mount the throttle cable finally. I know I've got some other stuff to do, but I'm blanking right now, so I'm going to go ahead and figure out some more stuff to do. I'm going to be working on some other stuff in the meantime, so I do apologize if this is a little disjunct, but I think we're making really good progress. So fingers crossed we can get this together soon. and let's just figure out what happens. All right, guys, I apologize. I don't quite remember where we left off, but as you can see, we've got the intake manifold on now, the intake piping, everything's bolted down, clamped down. This is the final time, fingers crossed, that we're putting this on. So I've taken all the tape off of the interior stuff here so that we don't have anything blocking the intake now. I did get the throttle cable mounted. I have a 3D printed mount for now, just to kind of see. And one thing that I've realized, I put my phone here while I push the throttle. We are only getting about 80 to 85% throttle opening when I fully depress it with the actual throttle pedal itself. So I am not sure what the cause and or solution to that is. I've talked to a few people who run LS throttle bodies and they don't see any issues, but maybe they just haven't realized that they're only going to like 85%. I don't know. So I'm gonna go ahead and we need to fix this anyways because it's not quite aligned. As you can see, it's down a little bit, but I'm getting a longer throttle cable. This is super tight right now. It is like tensioned to the max. It needs to be longer. So if you're using this specific side entry intake, you need something longer than 36 inches. And let me tell you, it has been a pain trying to find longer than 36 inches. So I will let you guys know what I do. This is good for now. 85% is more than enough for what we need, but I would obviously like to have 100% throttle if possible. So we're going to be working on that in the future, but it is good enough for now. It obviously works just fine. It's just not ideal. So I've started working on the plumbing for the vacuum / boost lines, and you can see I've got 3 ports. These outside ones are 8 millimeters, and then this middle one is a 10 millimeter, which honestly, they're just the wrong sizes for a vacuum block. I don't quite know why those were the ones that were chosen. The 10, for some reason, I think it fits actually on the brake booster. So I do have it running around. It's got the stock check valve in there and then goes to the brake booster. So we have just the brake booster on that one. And then this line here, it goes from 8 and then I go down to a 6. And then the 6 has a T here. So there's 4 coming off of it and the 4 goes over to the fuel pressure sensor. And then the 6 continues over to the map connector, or the map sensor, sorry, which is mounted right here. So that's looking pretty good. And then this other one here, I don't have it actually plumbed in yet. It's gonna go over and we're gonna need to get to our the MAC valve, which is our boost controller, this guy right here. So we're gonna go ahead and go in one and then out from the other and then into the blow off valve, or sorry, the wastegate. But we do need to go ahead and tee in for the blow off valve. Right now, I just have it sitting right here. The issue with this is that this is a 4 millimeter line. That's an 8 millimeter line. So if I'm gonna go ahead and like tee in like right here, I need to go down to 6, and then I need to go down to 4, or use the 4T that I have, and then I have 6 running across, but I'm kind of running out of 6 millimeter lines, so, and then I just kind of have, you know, random hoses hanging out here. It's just not very well set up in my opinion. So I don't know what a better method of doing this would be, but I will keep obviously working around with it because I need to go ahead and add in some stuff. But we're getting really, really close. So I'm super excited. That's looking really good. I added the coils. I think I showed this in last week's video, but the coils are all added on here now. We've got the individual spark plugs coming through the runners up here, and then these ones on this side. Everything's looking really, really good. Super excited with that. I did get some fittings for the PCV, the oil catch can. So I've got that one there, and then this one over here is really close to the vacuum block again. So we need to go ahead and probably do something with that. I can't figure out where I want the oil catch can. I think ideally I would want it like back there, but this guy, because of how close it is to these vacuum lines, can't turn that way. So I'm thinking maybe routing it forward and around that way, and then maybe having it kind of over there on that apron or something. And then we can obviously route that one over as well. But yeah, these are just some of the things that I've been working on. So it has been an interesting build. I've spread this over a good week and a half or so now. So we're still working, still going good progress. The only things that I think I really need to do now is finish up the vacuum lines, and then get the MAC valve installed. It's kind of the same. But I think we're getting actually really, really close to getting this car done. So I'm super happy, guys. let's go ahead and I'm going to keep working on this and I'll show you what I did. Oh, also, I don't know what it is with LS throttles, but they all have this little tube coming out here. I capped it off. I used a vinyl cap. If you use rubber caps, you can get like this at, AutoZone, and it has rubber caps in it. The rubber caps crack. So especially on something like this where we're going to have boost running through it, get vinyl caps. They usually are colored, which is kind of weird. But this one is black, thankfully, so it still kind of matches the theme of our engine bay. So I went ahead and capped this off. I did get a kit with the vacuum lines, and it comes with all of these nice zinc-plated clips. So it makes it look at least semi-professional. But yeah, so it's looking good. I'm gonna go ahead and finish it off, guys. We were really, really close. So fingers crossed that everything goes smoothly from here on out. And let's go ahead and see what gets done. All right, guys, we made some really good progress since the last clip here. I finished up the cooling system. So if you guys remember that 90-degree elbow that I bought didn't quite fit, I did end up using it. I just bought a pipe expander, one of those pieces right there, that guy. You can get them at like AutoZone, but this one I had to get on Amazon because the ones at AutoZone weren't quite small enough to get into the pipe that I bought. So it was like 25 bucks or something for that. But it makes it work. I already put coolant in here. I used a vacuum bleeder. At least I tried to. I don't know how well it worked. But this is like a standard vacuum bleeding kit. And basically it just uses this little guy right here. It's like a venturi valve. As it blows compressed air by, it actually sucks air out of this dude here. So it creates a vacuum in the cooling system. And then when you fill it with that hose right there, you plug that in and then it fills with coolant. So I'm pretty sure that it's pretty good. There were still a few air bubbles trapped in this hose here. So I went ahead and kind of like squished it and rubbed it until it kind of pushed it up and out the top there. So I'm kind of hoping that there's nothing trapped in the heater core, but I will probably heat cycle this a couple times before I do take it for a drive. So that is not going to be too much of an issue. But that was a first. That was fun. Something to learn. I definitely could do better. So interesting to learn new tools. I did put oil in here. So we've got oil in it now. I'll probably go ahead and turn it over a few times just to kind of get things flowing. I don't think I showed you the final setup for the vacuum/boost lines. So the final one here, this goes over, tees off, actually it's next down to a 6mm hose. Then here it tees off into the 4, and that goes over to the boost, or the blow-off valve. And then the other one continues across the front right here, and then goes down, as well as the one actually going into the wastegate right there goes down and then up and around over to the MAC valve, the boost controller, which is mounted right here. So you can see the lines below it right there. So this isn't ideal because it's kind of close to the exhaust, but I think it'll be fine. I think there's plenty of air gap. And like I said, we are going to go ahead and wrap the exhaust pipe in a heat shield once we go ahead and get that done. So I think that's going to be okay. I started putting some brake fluid in both the clutch and both the clutch and brake master cylinders. We do need to still go ahead and bleed both of those systems, so that is up on my to-do list next. I actually got a vacuum bleeder for that as well. Basically, it's like a tiny little cup and a hand pump, and you make it, you put vacuum into that cup, and then when you loosen the bleeder screw, instead of your normal system of somebody pushing on the pedal, which creates pressure to force the fluid through it, you're actually creating a vacuum which sucks the fluid through it. So it's kind of the opposite way of doing the exact same thing. So I will go ahead and vacuum bleed all 4 corners because I am by myself. I don't have a person to go ahead and push the pedal for me. And then I'll also go ahead and bleed the clutch as well. So we're making really, really good progress. I don't know if I mentioned already, but I put the fenders back on, bolted them down most of the way at least. So they were doing pretty good. But yeah, we are getting really, really close here. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off a few things, and then I think this car is just about ready to start, guys. So I am really, really excited. All right, guys, well, if you might be able to tell, we are under the car and the transmission is out. And the reason for that is because I was bleeding the clutch. I don't know if you guys can see this, but transmission fluid, or clutch fluid is leaking out of the concentric slave cylinder. So I don't know exactly what happened. It was gaining pressure, and then it just kind of all went away all at once. And then I lost a bunch of fluid out the bottom. So I had to pull the transmission, which is pretty unfortunate. I'm gonna go ahead and pull this slave cylinder off, see if I can figure out exactly what happened.
But clearly something is not happy. So it is a little unfortunate because if I do need a new one of these, it is a couple days away with fast shipping. So I cannot get it driving this weekend, which is pretty unfortunate for me. I was really looking forward to that. But hopefully for your guys' next video will still be first drive. Fingers crossed. So I'm going to go ahead and actually pull this completely out. I'll go ahead and take that top part off and then take this out as well, see if we can figure out exactly what went wrong so we can avoid it in the future if possible. And then, yeah, we'll see where we go from there because I'm a little sad, but you know, this is part of cars. And sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I'm glad we figured this out now, or at least this happened now before we were driving down the road. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this out and we'll take a look at it. All right, guys, so we have the clutch slave cylinder out here, and you might be able to see right there that inner seal is actually cracked. I mean, it's broken. So this is definitely a dead slave cylinder. Can't reuse it, unfortunately. So I can't push this down. I think I might have overextended it and blown out the seals. So when I was pushing the clutch, there was actually a good amount of pressure, and I was like, this is feeling really good. But the throw was only a few inches, and I was like, this is really weird. So I was pushing it, and I heard a pop, and then it went to the floor, and this is kind of the result of that. So I think I need to adjust the threaded rod going into the actual pedal itself to go ahead and adjust the amount of pressure that I'm pushing through this. But this is a good learning thing for the future because I didn't really know how much pedal throw that this was going to need, and now I realize that it's not that much. So we will definitely go ahead, have to order a new one, which is unfortunate because it's like $150. But you know, what can you do? A silver lining to this is I did find a bolt in the bell housing that had fallen through that upper hole. It was one of those countersunk coil pack bracket bolts. I had lost it a little bit ago and I didn't know where it went, and apparently it fell through that hole and into the bell housing. So I guess this is kind of a blessing in disguise because I would have probably had an issue with that bolt eating up a bunch of my clutch stuff. All the components bouncing around in there. So I guess I'm glad that this happened. It's unfortunate and it's kind of expensive, but you know, we will deal with it. So I got to get a new one of these on order. But I guess you live and you learn. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on getting all the rest of the car done. And hopefully this is a one-time failure that doesn't become recurring, because this is kind of a pain to drop the transmission. Although I did manage to get the transmission fully dropped in less than 2 hours from when I started jacking up the car to when I got the transmission out. So that was you know, a little time test. So I'm pretty happy. Let's go ahead and finish up a few things on the car, guys. All right, guys, I think that is actually going to go ahead and end this episode. It's Friday night tonight, and I need to go ahead and edit this so you guys can see it tomorrow. So the transmission, having to drop it and replace that slave cylinder really took up my time this week. So I do have a new one in, and I did get a new throttle cable, so we're going to be able to get this thing running here really, really soon. I'm super excited for how close we are. I need to change out a few of the hose clamps on my turbo water coolant lines because they're leaking a little bit even with no pressure, so they're going to be, you know, geysers when it's pressurized. So I got injection hose clamps for those instead of the worm style. Worm style clamps are just no-goes, guys. Like, never use them. I think we're really, really close though. Everything else is really, really done. It is literally just the throttle cable, the transmission, bleeding the clutch, and then bleeding the brakes. And then this thing is ready to go. So I am super excited. Next week, you guys are gonna see me finish up all this. We'll go ahead and get the transmission back in, get everything going, and it will be, I'm saying it right now, it will be the first drive. I might be a liar if something blows up, but it will be the first drive. I'm saying it right now because this is going to happen in the next 3 days for me, getting all this back together and actually driving it, or at least attempting to drive it. So fingers crossed, guys. I'm looking forward to it because it is so close, and I really, really want this. So if you guys don't know when Branson Z Fest is, it is at the end of May. So that's like 3 weeks away. It's not a lot of time, so we're getting right up against the wire here. Hopefully, if we can get it driving this weekend for me, next for you, we will go ahead and get the bodywork rolling. There's nothing that's really too bad that I have to do. It's not like it's crazy, but we do need to go ahead and repair some areas so the vinyl actually sticks well. I don't want it just, you know, flying off or whatever. But if we can get
all that kind of work done in a week and a half-ish is kind of what I'm hoping. And that gives us another week and a half. I would like to get custom AC lines because I would love to have AC for Branson Z Fest. That would be really, really nice. So fingers crossed that we can get that done. There's really not too much else to it. I did want to get it tuned before we left, but it is not a need. It is just a want. I do have the auto tune function on the Mega Squirt, so it's not the end of the world if we can't do it. I just probably won't drive it as spiritedly. And the tune is going to be more conservative, obviously, because I don't want to blow anything up. But we're getting really, really close. I've got a couple other things rolling. We've got headlights that still need bulbs in them. I have headlights, LED projectors that we're going to be putting in, and I'm mocking up some of the inserts to kind of go ahead and mount those. So that is going to be here in the future as well. But those are things that we can kind of roll all at the same time. So I'm really looking forward to it, guys, and I'm super excited. Gosh, I really want to drive it. So next weekend, guys, definitely tune in to see how this thing does, because I bought a new nice stabilized camera so you guys can watch it without it being all shaky. So it's going to be really, really good, and I'm super excited. So as always, guys, if you have any questions or comments, drop them down below. I appreciate you guys watching as always, and I'll see you guys next week.